In today's video, we're going to talk about how do you respond when you receive the feedback from a client in a consultation, in a phone call, or in an email where they say something to this effect. Hey, thank you, but we need to meet with a few more photographers before making our final decision. I'm going to give you the word for word answer, the response that you can give to help you get more bookings. My name is Ben Hartley. I help photographers win more bookings, maximize their profits, and break through limiting beliefs. Any links mentioned in today's video are going to be in the description below. Most notably, there is a link to a free workshop on how to handle objections and get more bookings. Definitely check that out. This video was first broadcast as a live video to my group of over 17,000 photographers. I'd encourage you to come and join that community where you can watch live. And so, my friends, thank you for showing up. Today, we're going to talk about what to say when you're in a consultation with a client and they let you know at the end of the consultation, you've knocked out of the park, all things good, you feel great about it, but they say this has been great, Ben, but we still have a couple meetings lined up with another photographer or two, and we're going to meet with a few more before we make our decision. Something along those lines. If you have heard something along those lines, we need to talk with a couple of the photographers. We have a few more meetings lined up. Let me know in the comments right now if you have heard anything to that effect. So last evening, right after I ended yesterday's live video, I went right into a new client consultation, and it was an incredible meeting. I thought all cylinders were firing. We were knocking out of the park. We get to the end, I walk them through pricing, I go through my 6-point close, and then it went silent for a minute, and I asked them, would you like me to be your photographer? And they said the dreaded line, Ben, we need to meet with a few more photographers before we make our decision. Now, what I'm going to share with you is something that you can use if you receive that feedback, if you receive that response in an email, you could reply to what I'm going to share with you guys in an email. If you receive it over the phone, over a Zoom consultation, or an in-person, the reply that I'm going to give you is going to work every single time. This is a reply that I actually unpack in even more detail. I have a workshop entirely about how to handle objections and get more bookings. If you go to the announcement section of the group, there's the full workshop there on how to handle client objections, get more bookings. But I'm gonna share with you again this one particular objection. I need to meet with other photographers. And so I said, perfect. That sounds great. I would want to do that too. So the first thing that you're going to want to do when somebody offers up, they resist in some way, they offer an objection, is you want to accept. You want to accept the objection. You don't want to try to make them wrong or convince them that they don't need to meet with somebody else, because whatever you resist in your life is going to persist, right? And if I'm right that they don't need to meet with somebody else, what does that make them? Let me know in the comments. What does that make them? If I'm right that they don't need to meet with anybody, what does that make them? It makes them wrong. And how do you feel when somebody makes you feel wrong about your choice, your decision, or your thought process? You don't usually respond too kindly to them. And so the first step is just to accept it, to embrace it. Yeah, that makes sense. This is a really big decision. So then the next thing that I like to do is I like to ask a question. And the question that I asked was this. Hey, so out of curiosity, this is a really great way to introduce any sort of question that feels slightly, I don't know if awkward is the right word, maybe a little bit bold, right? It's like a bold question. You're being assertive and you're kind of owning your space. Anytime I feel like I'm being assertive, I'm owning the space, I'm being bold, I like to introduce the question, like to segue it by saying, hey, out of curiosity, as you're meeting with the other photographers, how are you going to make your decision? By what metric are you going to decide that this is the right photographer for me? Now, this was really important for me to ask this question, and I'm going to explain to you guys the reasoning behind this, because again, all cylinders were firing. It was an incredible meeting. We get to the pricing. I walk them through everything, and they are looking at a collection that is $8,400. That's the collection that they were eyeing, that they really wanted to fit their needs. And the bride told me right out, she says, Ben, the budget that I was aiming for was $6,000. This collection's $8,400. We really want to meet with some other photographers. Now, so what I heard her say right then was this is a budget concern, that we're making the decision off of budget. That was like the initial suggested reason why they're not going to book right now, until I asked the question. Hey, so how are you going to decide which photographer to book as you're meeting with other people? And then she went on to say this. Hey, that's a really good question. She said, well, the number one thing that we're going to be looking for is energy. We really value having someone that is going to allow us to feel comfortable, that's going to bring us to life, capture us our best, and allow us to relax, knowing that hey, we're good, kind of a thing. There was a few other things. A really interesting thing about this bride that I met with yesterday was she was a Donald Miller Building a Story brand coach, which I am too. And so we related on so many things, right? We related on those aspects. And so she also said that having a photographer who is who not just had personality, but who is professional, who is dialed in, who they didn't need to babysit or wonder about. Now, she said it in far less words, but that was the number one thing that she said that she was going to make her decision off of. Number two was the results, the quality of the work. And the quality of the work that she was looking for was emotional photographs. She wanted real, in-the-moment emotional photographs. And those were the two metrics. You guys, those are the two metrics that I knocked out of the park the entire meeting. And then I looked over at the gentleman, his name was Matt. I said, Matt, do you have anything to add? He was like, no, man, there's a reason that she didn't say price first. This is what Matt, the groom, said. There's a reason she didn't say price first. It's because above everything else, we value the person who's going to be there on the day and then the quality of the work. And now it's our job to figure out how we're going to move the budget around to make that work. Okay. Now, they didn't sign with me that day. I don't know if they will sign with me. I'm not sure. But what this allowed to take place was it actually it brought reality into alignment. It brought a reality into consciousness, into the forefront of their mind. When I say reality, a lot of times if people don't actually say how they're going to make a decision, we tend to just go with these almost pre-programmed gut internal reactions, responses to numbers, to price, right? It's ooh, that's expensive. Ooh, that's a lot of money. And we tend to just follow our almost our fear, our survival around that, right? It's that would just have been it. I would have just been out of budget. There wouldn't have been a chance. Does that make sense? I don't know how else to describe it. But when you ask someone to actually speak, to bring it into being, by what metric are they going to decide? Now they're actually being accountable for the words, the thoughts, the values that they have. And when they say our number one value is the personality behind the photographer, and then they say and they speak that it's the quality of the work, now they're actually going to try to find alignment with those things. People want to be seen as consistent with their choices, with their actions, with their words. People don't want to be out of integrity with the words that they say. Now, before they said those words, it was just it was easy to dismiss because they never had spoken that. And instead, it would have allowed for the fear to the fear or the anxiety of money to just overwhelm them and move their choice. I hope this is making sense. But once you speak something, once you make it real, now your actions need to be in alignment with that. So we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. All I know is this, that, they may not book with me, all good, but I know that I now have an actual chance to book this client, where before it was a complete crapshoot. Okay? I now know that I have an actual chance.